What's up, y'all? It's Jimmy coming guys with another video. Before I get into the video, as always, make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. And when you guys hit subscribe, please make sure you guys are hitting that notification button. So getting right into it, I feel like I have been reviewing a lot of Air Force Ones for y'all, and I know Air Force Ones aren't really the wave right now, but Nike has been putting out a bunch of good Air Force Ones that haven't really been selling out. I mean, all the Air Force Ones I've hit on sneakers, and I'll say I hit on a lot more Air Force One than Nike Dunks. But these Air Force Ones here, I actually talk about in my upcoming sneaker releases for July. These are the Air Force Ones that came out for the Space Jam movie with LeBron James. So I myself, I still haven't seen the movie. By the time you guys are watching this video, I'm guessing the movie would have been like 2 to 3 weeks out. If you guys have seen the movie, let me know how it was down below in the comments. Is it worth my time? Should I still go out and watch it? But nonetheless, Nike paired up with LeBron James, of course, you know, that's one of their premier athletes, and they decided to drop a bunch of shoes for the movie. If I keep on looking over this way, it's because I'm looking at the shoes, just trying to get some inspiration from looking at them. I will say, you know, at a first glance, before I even show you guys, they are very, very clean in person. But back to my point, Nike has released a bunch of shoes for the Space Jam movie. I believe there was like a new LeBron, I don't know what number LeBron it was, but a couple of Air Force One, a couple of like the Converse Chuck 70s, I think that's the model. In my opinion, the pair that I'm going to show you guys was the best shoe to release from that collection. And the reason being is just because of how simple the shoe is. In my opinion, the other shoes really reminded me of that whole galaxy theme, which makes sense, right? I mean, Looney Tunes isn't really based in a galaxy, but it's almost in like its alternate universe where the both of them collide. So very I don't know, it's very comical, very theatrical, those shoes. Like, they're not really practical for everyday wear, and I mean, they're pretty cool for the collection if you really love Space Jam, you love Looney Tunes like that. But for myself, everything that I'm gonna buy, I want it to be practical, something I can wear all the time. Getting right into the actual review, here is the box that the shoes come in. So like I said, these are a Nike Air Force One, come in your typical standard Nike Air Force One box. Size tag reads Air Force One 07. Colors are white, light blue, furry, and white. Suggested retail is $120, and with tax it comes out to be probably like $130, something like that. These I got a size 8, but the one thing I've been noticing about Air Force One is the sizing has been a little bit inconsistent. If you guys saw my review on the last Air Forces, I did the Acorns, the brown ones with the suede, the leather. I actually don't think there was suede on there, but with the really premium leather, those fit extremely small, and I went with my true to size 8. But as opposed to like the 1/800s or the popcorn Air Force Ones I bought, those fit maybe like half a size big. So these kind of fluctuate. I'll say these fit pretty true to size. I don't know if it's because of the leather or what, but yeah, I'll say these fit like a true size 8. And then finally, here are the shoes. So first look, you guys, they're very simple. I mean, if I were to see these in person, I would think maybe they're like a Charlotte Hornets colorway or something like that. Why they chose this blue exactly, I'm not too sure. Maybe if you guys have watched the movie, you guys can pinpoint how this blue is connected, whether it's like their uniform, but I'm not too sure why they chose this blue. I know Looney Tunes, and you know, I take it back. Looking at this little picture, or I guess this little stitch emblem of Bugs Bunny right there, looking at his uniform, it is the same blue, so I can see why Nike decided to go with the blue for this Air Force One. But starting with the outsoles of the shoe, you have your typical classic Nike Air Force One outsole in that LT blue colorway, and I don't know if LT stands for light, but you know, I'll go ahead and just say light blue. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but light blue Air Force One outsole. And then moving up to the midsole, you have a white midsole, and then you have your light blue Air right there. I really love it when Nike colors this in. For the most part, and at least all the newer Air Force One releases, they've been keeping this portion not necessarily white, but the same color as the midsole. But I know back in like 06, 07, maybe just like the mid 2000s to early 2000s, Nike would typically always color this in, and I think that adds a nice contrast to the shoe. And then moving on up to the uppers, overall it's a very simple Air Force One with little touches of detail, but the main uppers of the shoe is this pretty nice leather, I want to say. I do think it's nicer than your typical classic Air Force One leather. That's a very smooth grain leather, as opposed to this. You can see some tumbleness to it. And in my opinion, for Air Force Ones, if you're seeing some tumbled leather, that typically indicates that it's nicer quality. Just because sometimes, you know, I have came across a couple of shoes where the leather was tumbled, but the quality was absolute trash. But I'll say these right here, the quality of the leather is actually on point. And then your swoosh and then your back tab right there is in that light blue in a suede material. This suede is pretty standard. It might not even be suede, it might be a nubuck. But on the back tab right there, it has Nike Air stitched in white. And then the special details on the shoe come at the swoosh, where for this pair you have Bugs Bunny stitched in with a basketball he's hooping. And then on this pair you have Lola either going for a layup, a dunk. I mean, with them being bunnies, I'm guessing they were going for a dunk, but you guys can see the right pair has Bugs Bunny and then the left pair has Lola. And the same kind of applies for the sizing tag, or not the sizing tag, but the Nike tag on the tongue. This one has the same picture as Bugs Bunny right there, but it's stitched in. He's dribbling the basketball on top of the swoosh, and it says Air Force One right there in white. And on the other one, it has the picture of Lola going for either the layup or the dunk over the swoosh, and then Air Force One at the bottom. Both really simple touches of detail. I really do think this was the best shoe to drop from that Space Jam collection. I mean, you can't ever really beat, well, I guess to be fair, I was gonna say you can't really beat the Space Jam 11s, but those weren't even really made for Space Jams. It just so happened to be that Jordan wore those shoes in the Space Jam movie, and then people started dubbing them the Space Jam 11s. And last but not least, the shoes come with white laces. There are no other spare laces. I think it would have been honestly pretty cool if they gave this light blue laces right here. I think I would have kept with the white, so maybe that light blue would have been pointless. But I could see a couple people, you know, switching it up, adding a little bit pop of color to the shoe, because it is very plain Jane. You know, overall, if you didn't have this little logo right there, I mean, it's a pretty plain white Air Force One with a pop of color. And then moving on to the lining, you have a white lining, and then your insole is that light blue color with a white Nike Air. And one thing I have to mention about this shoe is, you know, with Air Forces, is typically a hit or a miss sometimes. I mean, that really goes for any shoe, especially Nike Dunks. Sometimes Nike just, I don't know, maybe it's like the factory or maybe whoever cut the shoes or quality control, but sometimes the shape of Air Force is like too clunky, it's too big, it's too narrow, it's too low, it's too flat. I know I sound very picky, but right, when you have your shoe, like you want it to have a specific shape, especially if you guys have came across the perfect pair of Air Force Ones or perfect pair of Nike Dunks in your own opinion, right, that look best with your feet. And I'll say these right here have a really good shape. You know, maybe that's just my opinion, but from a first glance and then trying them on briefly, I think they look really good. And now I'll show you guys how the shoes look on feet. I think Nike did a really good job at promoting the Space Jam movie. It was the first time really one of their athletes have been in a movie that they were starring in. I mean, well, I guess that doesn't really count because Michael Jordan starred in Space Jam, but maybe I guess the second time. And this time, right, things are just different. Like there's rollout for movies, rollout for different album releases, things like that. So I think Nike did this release proper. You know, it's not going to be one that's super hype or anything like that. At the end of the day, it is a kids movie, so I think they went with something the adults and both the kids could enjoy. But I hope you guys enjoyed that quick little review. I know I'll definitely be enjoying these shoes right here. But I hope you guys enjoyed that quick little review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.